Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's crack-a-lackin' Fantasy Champs? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. Papa Rick.
What's up?
All right, I told you this was going to be Rapada Muchacha show. So we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna try to get you the content that you want and you need now, and then next week we're gonna be doing mock drafts. We're gonna be doing rankings.
Yes,
we're
sir.
Gonna be doing all kinds of stuff. Sleepers, breakouts, busts, mock drafts. I already said that, but mock drafts again. Mock drafts. We love mock drafts. But anyway, we're gonna talk about the NFC, AFC South to complete all of our breakdowns of all of these divisions. We'll talk about 8 teams today. 8 teams in 45 minutes to an hour.
I'm setting timer this time.
Okay,
we got 5 minutes for each team.
5 minutes for each team. Before we jump into the NFC, AFC South, check out. Wow, I always say that. I need to delete that. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Just type in the FF Champs, Fantasy Champions. You'll find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please pause whatever you're doing, leave a review kindly, and then share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below. Any questions you may have. YouTube, man, we love that YouTube audience, so do your thing. Comment, like. We'll answer the questions. So how you doing, Rick? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready to go. I'm in full football season mode, though. Full football season.
You did, however, tell me the other day. I was like, hey, this is when the draft party is. You're like, I don't know where I'm going to be, bro. You're going to be at my house drafting. That's where you're going to be. I know where you're going to be.
Okay. Unless I'm in a different state.
Then you're going to be flying back here.
Fly me up for the draft party.
Yeah, seriously. We could do draft party on location. If I had enough people that got into that. That'd be wild.
That'd be funny.
We draft in Vegas.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Let's do the AFC NFC South breakdown, and we'll start with the NFC South, which consists of
Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Bucks.
I think you remember this because I got it screwed up and I started saying the wrong things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll start with the Atlanta Falcons here. Quarterbacks. Yeah. Funniest thing in the history of ever happened at the NFL draft.
Michael Penix, top 10 pick.
You got Michael Penix, top 10 pick, which some people were saying he was a back-end first-round pick. A lot of the people that were drafted at quarterback were back-end first-round picks, but neither here nor there. But they also subsequently, earlier in the offseason, signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year something $100 million deal.
A lot of money.
A lot of cash. So Kirk Cousins is the starter. Michael Penix is the backup. I haven't heard anything about Kirk coming back yet. Is he practicing yet?
He is.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. So he tore his Achilles last year, and couldn't play the remainder of the season. Left the Minnesota Vikings, and went to the Atlanta Falcons. So now he's the quarterback there. Kirk Cousins was always between quarterback 10 and 14. What do you think he is post Achilles with a new football team?
Maybe like a tad lower. I mean, I think he'll still be okay, but I'm not drafting him. I think he's kind of like, he's in that Rodgers tier that maybe like right below Jared Goff and Tua.
Yeah.
But similar, where he's going to be streamable and he'll get 20-point weeks, but he's not going to be anything crazy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be people that draft him because his ADP right now is 144. So, I mean...
Yeah,
I'm curious to see how he does play, but the Achilles injury scares me a little bit. So
it does for me as well.
I would take him as a flyer in the last round and then start him, but I don't know what that looks like. All right, let's talk about the running backs quickly. Bijan Robinson, man. I mean, he was running back 9 last year. He kind of underperformed where people drafted him a little bit. Right now, he's getting picked around pick 7, which is fantastic. I'm going to say Bijan right now is the second running back ranked. So I'm going to list the running backs behind him, and I want you to tell me whether or not you would take him over Bijan.
Over Bijan?
Yeah. Breece Hall.
I might. Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy or Gibbs?
No.
Jonathan Taylor?
No.
Saquon?
No.
Travis Etienne?
Close though. No.
Kyron Williams?
Nope.
Okay, so you got him like 4.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
I think he's probably gonna be my RB3. I think I'll probably have him one spot ahead of Barkley, I think.
With Kirk Cousins coming in, do we expect Bijan to be more efficient? And they have a new offensive coordinator, I believe.
Yeah, Zach Robinson from the Rams. Yeah, I think he'll be more efficient. I think he beats them more. I think he's going to get more touchdowns, all that. They still have Algier there, though, and I do think they like Algier still, so like it's not going to be 100% Bijan. That's why he's not RB2 for me.
Yeah.
Because Breece Hall for the Jets, like he's their whole offense. Christian McCaffrey is going to be their whole offense in terms of the running back position. While Bijan might not be, so I think that's kind of the cap with him. But he's going to be a beast. I think he's going to be better than he was last year. Very in on Bijan.
Okay. All right, let's move to the wide receiver position. We have London. We have Darnell Mooney. We have Rondale Moore, who has changed teams. I think those are going to be the 3 main guys that you hear about for the Atlanta Falcons. But the main one has got to be Drake London, because I don't think that, like, would you take a flyer on Darnell Mooney?
Or Rondale I actually Moore? Would. Because I think he could play like the Jordan Addison role, but it's only because he's getting drafted so low. Like if he was getting drafted high, I wouldn't. But because his ADP is so low, I would take a flyer, I believe.
Okay, so what are your feelings on Drake London? Right now his ADP is at 15. He was a wide receiver 30.
I think it's a little – I think his ADP is a little high. Okay. But I do kind of get the hype because he's similar to Garrett Wilson, where he's gotten a lot of targets last 2 years in a Arthur Smith offense that doesn't throw the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be an offense that should throw the ball more. He's got a big quarterback upgrade.
Okay.
And he's going to be the number 1 receiver. So – he's getting drafted, though, as the wide receiver 10, I think.
That's tough.
So it is tough, but, like, it's hard because I think that's a little high, but at the same time, I could very easily see him being a wide receiver 1 this year.
His rank in PPR, according to Fantasy Pros, is 12.
Wide receiver 12?
Yeah. Which is a little
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
A little better, but...
I don't love it.
I think there's... Normally, when a team gets a quarterback, like the Jets last year, everyone gets an increase. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, Rodgers. You would think that Kirk Cousins would do that same thing, but I think coming off the injury, that's what makes it a challenge, where it's like you don't know how Kirk Cousins is going to play in the new system and with the Achilles injury. So I think that's what's making people hesitate. But, yeah, London, I don't mind him, but it's almost like maybe somebody else take the risk. Way. Maybe somebody else take the risk instead of me. And then
if he starts falling, though,
if he ends up falling in the draft, or he ends up being good, I can just trade for him.
Right. We're at 5 minutes, so do you have any more thoughts on Mooney or the other receivers before we get to? We'll
I set my own timer. I was at 4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I'm behind. Anyway,
I don't know how I was that heavy.
Final guy, Kyle Pitts here quickly. ADP 60. I think Rick and I are both going to be in on Kyle Pitts, and we're going to be finger gunning each other at the draft.
Yeah, I'm in on Kyle Pitts. He is starting to move up, which scares me, because in the beginning of offseason, when I first started looking at it, he was like in the 70s, and now he's 61.
Yeah.
So, or he was like late 60s, and now he's 61. So he's moving up. But at tight end 6, I'll take that.
Yeah, he's currently ranked tight end 7 on Fantasy Pros. So
yeah, I like him at that spot for sure.
Yeah, I love Kyle.
He's going to play the TJ Hawkinson role.
He's going to be one of my main targets of the offseason. Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. All right, let's move to the next team that we have here, which is the Carolina Panthers. So they made some moves and some changes this offseason that could benefit Bryce Young. And we'll start with the quarterback position here. Bryce was terrible last year. There's no two ways about it. He's QB 23. Yeah. His ADP right now is 195. Are you, it's been a while since you and I have been able to look at the second-year quarterbacks and go, time to draft them. So what are you doing with Bryce?
I'm not drafting him, not yet, but could be sneaky. On Underdog, he's like QB 27 right now.
Yeah, he's like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league according to...
I'm drafting him at that spot.
Yeah.
I do think he still has some talent. Like last year was just so tough.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen it before. Remember Trevor Lawrence, like his rookie year was like one of the worst he ever saw.
Yep.
And then year 2, he came out and was like a top 12 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying so Trevor Lawrence as a rookie, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. And then year 2, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And he went from QB 23 to QB 8. So I'm not saying Bryce Young is going to do that, even though he also finished QB 23, exact same spot. But I do think it's possible. The Panthers still kind of suck, though.
Yeah.
I'm not drafting him, but I think sneaky, very good streamer.
Honestly, I think he's a quarterback that could. I mean, if it's your 15th, 16th round selection, it doesn't really matter anyway. So like you can use it on him.
I'm drafting him in best ball,
but
I'll say that
there could be upside here, like you said with the Trevor Lawrence thing, where it's like he could be not a sleeper, but like a deep sleeper at the quarterback position, where maybe not the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, but like midway point, people are like, okay, Bryce Young, and he's a pickup and then a start for the remainder of the year. You could see that, but I didn't see much rushing upside for Bryce Young anyway. So for him to have massive amounts of success, he would have to throw a lot of touchdowns. So I don't like, that's why I'm not like rushing to grab him. But anyway,
he rushes like Dak. He had the same amount of rushing yards as Dak Prescott last year.
Yeah. Which was
250.
Yeah. So there's a floor, but it's not that high.
Right.
Okay, let's move to the running back position. Last year they ran with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is now gone. Whoa, never mind. He's
on the team, but Rashad Penny is retired. He's on this list.
Penny retired. Sanders is still there, but he wasn't great.
People are saying he might get cut.
They drafted Jonathan Brooks in the second round, and he's
49th overall too. Wasn't it?
He's gonna be the guy for them.
Yeah,
this is your rookie running back this year, guys. This is it. Like he's ADP 90 right now. He's not ranked super high. And he's on the Carolina Panthers, who people don't expect to be really great. But this is a great addition for a football team that needed a running back. They were giving a lot of work to Miles Sanders, a lot of work to Chuba Hubbard last year at times. Now it's all going to Jonathan Brooks. He's an all-purpose running back. It's what they drafted him to be. I would imagine that they start feeding him the rock immediately, and he's a guy that I would target, especially if I'm doing like a zero, running back approach. You get to the 9th round, you can snag him, 8th, 9th round, and put him on your team. So I'll be targeting him in a lot of leagues and hoping for some upside. He doesn't even have to start right away for me, which is the best part. So I like Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, I like him too. I'm not going to draft him much higher than he is, though, because he tore his ACL in college last year. So he might also start the year on the PUP, but could be one of those guys where you look from like week 8 on and he's a league winner. So someone to keep your eye on, but he is going to probably start the year either on the bench or on the IR. So,
okay, let's move to the wide receiver position. We have some additions here. They signed. They had Adam Thielen, who was their guy for a while, and Jonathan Mingo, who they drafted last year. This year they drafted Xavier Legette, and then they traded for Deontay Johnson. Now Deontay Johnson's still putting up elite route running numbers, still dropping passes because that's what he does. His ADP is 70 right now. He is the wide receiver 1 for Bryce Young. What do you want to do with him for fantasy football?
In PPR especially, I do actually like him. It's tough because what is his ceiling? Like it kind of depends on Bryce Young, but he's the wide receiver 1, and it's not like he had great receiving or great quarterback play in Pittsburgh all those years.
I was about to pull up.
I think he is a pretty good receiver. And he could be a high volume guy, right? So he could be like an 80 catch guy. So I don't mind him there at all. Like if he's your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, like that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then with Legette, his ADP is 141 right now. He's picked in the first round, pick 32. Obviously, I think there's upside for him, but he's one of the guys I think lower on my wide receiver list in terms of the rookies. Like there's some guys that I want to draft, Marvin Harrison Jr., Xavier Legette.
Right.
Keon Coleman maybe, but like Xavier Legette doesn't fall on that list for me.
Again, kind of like Jalen Polk in a way, because he's 133, you said?
Yeah. 132 in the NFL draft. He's 141 in ADP.
Yeah, at 141, I actually really like that. As a late round flyer. I'm not necessarily expecting anything out of him, but again, those rookie receivers, like second half breakouts, I think it's very possible if Leggette's good that he finishes the year on like a run and could be big for your team.
One final note on Adam Thielen: do not, just don't. Just
yeah,
don't.
I'm out on Adam Thielen.
At the tight end position, they had Tommy Tremble last year, who was mid. Ian Thomas, who was mid. They drafted Jatavion Sanders, but I think a majority of their target share is going to go to the three guys we mentioned, Leggett, Thielen, and Johnson. So
they ran 88% of the time. They had three wide receiver sets.
Yeah, I would say that the tight end is not going to be highly utilized in this offense.
I would agree with you.
All right, let's move to the New Orleans Saints here and talk about the quarterback position. They still got Derek Carr. And
this team is so underwhelming.
They brought in
Spencer Rattler.
So if you like Rattler, 5th round pick. But it's going to be Derek Carr here again, mid quarterback and a half.
The same coaching staff, so it's going to be the same.
Carr's ceiling, same coaching staff, same exact thing. Like Rick was just saying, Carr's ceiling for fantasy football is streamer. So there's that.
Yeah, and even then, like I feel like there's going to be better options. In our league, maybe not, but in most leagues, there's going to be probably better options.
What are the chances that Spencer Rattler gets a shot?
Only if Derek Carr gets hurt.
Okay, all right.
I don't think or if they start like really like 0-5 or something.
Yep.
But I don't really see Spencer Rattler playing unless Carr gets hurt or the team's just really, really bad.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the running back position here. We have Alvin Kamara, who still exists. Jamal Williams, who still exists. He was on the team last year, Jamal Williams, right?
He was, yeah.
And then they just drafted this guy, Kendre Miller, in the 3rd round 2 years ago.
You drafted him last 2 years ago.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year.
So he's here. Kamara was very good last year. He was very good last year in fantasy football. Finished as the running back 11, and he missed 4 games. So he was still very, very good for fantasy football. He is old, so I don't know what the upside is for Alvin Kamara. He's going at pick 74, so he's like a later round guy that you can kind of snag and maybe get higher production out of, but he's the only guy that I'm really looking at in this running back room and thinking like, okay, I could draft him for fantasy.
Yeah. At first I was actually going to be out on Kamara, but the more I looked at it, I actually kind of like him because he's an old man running back, which is always gross. Mm-hmm. And he's not on a great offense, which is also gross. So it's like, it's hard. But at the same time, like he wasn't on a great offense last year. He had 75 catches though in 13 games. Wow. Like he's a PPR machine still. And they still really like him there in New Orleans. I don't think Kendre Miller is just going to take the job from him. Jamal Williams was really bad last year. So, like, Kamara's still going to be the guy, and he's still going to get, like, close to 100 targets. So, I'm in on Kamara at that ADP. If he starts moving up, then no. But as, like, RB20 in that range, like, if you're a zero wide receiver or a zero running back person, and you can go receiver, tight end, quarterback, whatever, and you're sitting there in round 6 and 7, and then you go Kamara and Ramondre, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. All right, Chris Olave, the only receiver on the team worth anything for fantasy football. He is wide receiver 16. He's going off the board at pick 17. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Drake London, to be honest with you. He did perform a lot better last year, but the offense didn't improve. It didn't get better. They didn't do anything realistically. So, like,
he is what he is.
He is what he is. Like, I don't think he does better than wide receiver 16 this year. I really don't. I actually think they'll probably get slightly worse because Carr's a year older. So, like, he's a solid low-end wide receiver too, for me.
Yeah,
but
that means you're probably out on him because he's getting drafted as like wide receiver 12.
Pick 17's a little bit much for me. Yeah, I want to know where fantasy.
Yeah, wide receiver 11.
He's getting drafted as the wide receiver 11. Yeah. Like I would take guys that give me more of a chance for explosiveness. I don't know what Michael Pittman would look like with Anthony Richardson, but like I love Brandon. Like, I would take Brandon Ayuk over him any day, especially if he's still in San Francisco. Waddle's way more explosive. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I do think Olave will still have a floor because he's going to catch like they had 87 catches last year. I don't think that's going away.
like
So,
he's a floor play. He's a floor play.
Yeah, he's a floor play. Yeah.
At the tight end position, we have Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill still exists.
None of those guys are really fantasy relevant.
Yeah,
Saints are gross.
You might get a Taysom Hill appearance every once in a while, though.
Hot take: the Saints, I think, might finish last in that division this year.
That's one of those offenses that you look at. Like everyone's talking about the Patriots and everyone's talking about
the Giants.
The Saints are pretty mid. They have the wide receiver position possibly figured out, but not much anything else.
Pretty mid across the board.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Let's do it.
All right, so they same thing. Nothing really changed here for them.
No, they did lose their OC, but I don't think that really.
Yeah, I don't think it does anything.
Personnel-wise, they didn't really change much.
Personnel-wise, they didn't really change much. They have Baker Mayfield still at the quarterback position.
Had a great year last year, by the way.
Yeah, he did good. He's a quarterback 10 in fantasy football, believe it or not, which is stunning, shocking.
28 tutties and 4,000 yards.
Gee whiz, brother.
It's a good year, man.
Yeah, I'm just
former first overall pick.
QB 10. My goodness. You don't look at fantasy football for a little while.
He is getting drafted as like quarterback 22.
No, he doesn't have much upside for fantasy football. He's going to be a streaming option next year.
I think he was QB 10 partly because he was one of the few quarterbacks that like played all 17. I don't, and he was. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was very good last year, but like if everyone is healthy in the league,
he would have been like 15.
He's
16.
probably like QB 15.
Yeah, so
16.
that makes him a streaming option. His rank on Fantasy Pros is like 23. So
yeah,
I wouldn't draft him.
Which I mean, I think he might be better than 23, but I wouldn't draft him either.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the running backs. They did add, just to talk about guys they added this year, Bucky Irving from Oregon. Round 4, pick 25 to the backfield. Rashad White was the RB4 last year.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that is stunning turn of events. Hold on a second. That can't be true. Hold on. I'm looking PPR because it changed it again.
Very similar, though.
Rashad
he played
White,
all 17 games.
running back 4. Yeah, he played all 17 games.
Where was he in points per game?
15.8.
So, yeah, I mean, that's good, but that's not RB4 good.
He would have been down at like 10. So he's not going to get drafted in that range, but a guy that gets a lot of opportunity that played well at ADP of 62, that's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I would take him there.
Tampa's a lot of, that's not bad. Now, do you think Bucky Irving is going to encroach a little bit on
I do.
Rashad White's?
Not a lot. Not anything that's going to be crazy, but like, I don't think, like Rashad White had 272 carries last year. I don't think he gets that number again. I think it's more like 230.
Okay.
But still, like he's a good passing option, which is always good in PPR. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't excite me because he's so inefficient, but he's okay. He was clearly good last year.
I like Rashad White. I want to like him more than I do.
He had 3.6 yards per carry, though, which is so gross.
Yeah, that is gross. All right, let's talk about the wide receivers.
How many more years of Mike Evans?
I just don't know. He just keeps posting 1,000 yards, and we just keep buying it. So maybe more. But they added Jalen McMillan, 30-28 in the NFL draft, so third round selection there. They have Trey Palmer, who was a pick in 2023, who will probably get usurped by the third round pick, Jalen McMillan. You still have Godwin and Mike Evans. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, like Mike Evans is a guy in drafts that I'll pass on. And if he ends up performing better, I might try to make a trade. But I'm going to pass on him just because he's at the age of 31 years old. I know he's had 1,000 yards every year, but things like this can't continue. And the fact that his ADP on Underdog is 24.
Yeah, Underdog's a little weird, though, because it's 24, but he's wide receiver 17. Because it's all wide receivers in the first 2 rounds.
Okay, yeah. So wide receiver 17 is like...
I still don't love it. It's not terrible.
Yeah. Like, there's a chance that Mike Evans could just completely fall off the cabbage cart. and
Right.
be nothing, and then you get nothing out of the pick. So,
And I don't even know if like he'll like really fall off necessarily, but I feel like he definitely overperformed last year a little bit, and not for the 1,000 yards, and not for the 17 games played, which he hadn't done. Hadn't played a full season since I think like 2020.
yeah.
But for me, it was the touch. He had he had 13 touchdowns last year.
Wow.
Like I know he's a red zone threat, and I don't know with Baker Mayfield, like if he's gonna have another like. He'll be good. He'll still be good. He's
His
still Mike Evans,
ADP
but
on
I do
Sleeper
think
right now is 29, by the way. So it's not even that far off.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, wide receiver 29?
No.
ADP 29th overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too high for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually don't hate Chris Godwin, though.
Yeah, I don't hate Chris Godwin, too. He's ADP on Underdog at 59. So the value is a little bit better. Much better. He did have a down year last year.
He did. But again, Mike Evans had 13 touchdowns. Do you know how many Chris Godwin had?
Like, what, 4?
2.
2. My goodness, that's bad.
So I think Mike Evans will always have more touchdowns because he's more of a red zone guy. But we might see that go from like maybe Mike Evans goes down to like 9 or 10 and Chris Godwin goes up to like 5 or 6.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think Jalen McMillan's going to be much of anything this year.
Probably not, unless
Mike Evans is old as poop and just collapses. All right. Last year, they had Cade Otton, who had some games that were okay. He was a tight end 19. I don't want anything to do with him.
I'm kind of out on him as well.
Okay. There's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There is the NFC South.
There you go.
All right. Let's talk about one final division here.
Last division.
The AFC South, which...
Your boy, C.J. Stroud.
is going to be interesting. Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud at the quarterback position.
This might be the most... This is this year's... Every year there's the most hyped team. This year it's the Texans. They are the most hyped team in the league.
They is pretty hyped. I'm hyped. CJ, come to my fantasy team. I want you, buddy. He's QB11 last year. Missed some time, didn't he? Did he miss some time?
Yeah, missed 2 games.
Oh, was that because what the hell?
He had a concussion or something.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Stroud was really, really, really good at times last year, and then there were games where he wasn't so great. But Stroud was
for a rookie. He was
nasty, he was awesome. Puts the Texans in a really good position, but I mean, right now his ADP is 70. His rank on Fantasy Pros
QB7
is QB6. So I like him. I like him at pick 70. If I'm able to get him at pick 70, I might consider a 6th round selection for CJ Stroud. But coming off the season he just had, there's always the chance in the back of my mind that's like, oh, like Herbert's second year wasn't amazing.
Yeah. And there is that element where it's like they are just so like people are saying like outside the Chiefs are the best team in the league, and like there could be a big like kind of disappointing season potentially.
Yeah.
On the same side, he had a really good rookie year, and they just added Stephon Diggs. So
yeah,
I don't know. Pick your poison, I guess.
Pick your poison.
I don't mind him. I don't know if I draft him as QB6, but. I would consider it probably in that range. So, like, if he fell a couple spots, I don't mind it. Or if I had a Texans receiver, I might want to pair him up with him. So, I'm not necessarily in love with Stroud fantasy-wise, but I don't mind him.
Yeah. I think he's a decent pick. Running back position, I'm obsessed with him because last year I was able to pick him up.
Yeah.
And
well, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's someone else in our league who said he's going to take him like first 5 rounds.
Whoa! Is that Fred?
I'm not saying, but there's somebody who's in love with him.
It's definitely him. Joe Mixon signed with the Texans, so they have Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce. This kind of looks like a midi split for me, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and Mixon's going as RB14 right now.
So yeah, what I'm gonna say is stay away from this running back room. And if it ends up working out, you can always trade for it, but there's no reason to draft it. I
don't hate Joe Mixon, but I don't love him.
If Mixon on a value like because his ADP is 61 on underdog, so like,
which isn't terrible, but
like,
and the offense is like supposedly going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL.
it could be good, but Mixon's old.
He is old.
He's 28. So, I mean, it's a second team. Like he's primed to be one of the. Him and Eckler are the two guys I have on the list. That's like old running backs that went to new teams. That doesn't work out. But they don't have anything else. Like Pierce was not good last year.
Right, he was terrible.
he was not good. So, maybe Mixon makes a splash here.
Yeah,
but I still don't love it. I'm not going to draft him.
I don't know. Like I don't hate Joe Mixon, but I would rather just take a receiver at that round, wait another round, and then just get Kamara or Ramondre probably.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. All right, tight end position really quickly. I want to talk about the wide receivers, so I just want to get tight ends out the way. Dalton Schultz. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, I don't know, Jim. Yeah,
he's tight end 13 right now.
I don't really want him. That's probably
there's too many mouths to feed. Probably he's not bad.
Yeah, there's
but...
too many people on the football team. He's going to be like the 4th, maybe 5th guy down because Joe Mixon can pass catch too. So if he's the 5th guy down, it's just not worth it. People will draft him and then go, "Why did I draft Schultz?" Well, target share.
He is kind of a security blanket though, but he's not going to put up any big weeks.
All right, the wide receiver position, man. This is the one that we're going to end up blowing this timer out of the water because I don't even know where to start.
This is one of the hardest wide receiver rooms, I feel like.
Stephon Diggs he got traded to, right? Traded to the Houston Texans. They already had Nico Collins and Tank Dell.
Yeah.
So it's like they have 3 very good wide receivers, all who were good for fantasy football last year. Like, the numbers at the wide receiver position, just to go through where those guys finished. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 9. Tank Dell
he was wide receiver 39, but he played 11 games.
Yeah, he was better than that. What was his average?
It was good.
15 points per game. So that's up with the best in the league.
And that's what did you say, 15?
Yeah.
Does that include week 13 where he only played 2 snaps?
Yep.
So if you take that game out, he's probably averaging like 20 points a game.
Yeah, so he's a lot higher than 39. He played better than the 39 last year. And then Nico Collins
was a top 12 guy, wasn't he?
So they have Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. They have 2 top 12 fantasy wide receivers from last year, and Tank Dell, who was putting on a show last year. So I'm confused. Tank Dell, ADP 35. Nico Collins, ADP 17. Stephon Diggs, I imagine, would be the worst ADP at 32. He is.
Well, Tank Dell's 3 spots lower, right? Tank Dell's the lowest.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Tank Dell's the lowest. I thought I said 25. So
there's one of these guys is going to biggest bust because there's no way that all 3 finish in like the top 30.
I think Diggs is old. And I think the Bills moved off him at the right time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know.
But he's also Stephon Diggs.
My problem is, like, I do feel like this is going to hurt Nico Collins more than it'll hurt Tank Dell.
Oh, here we go. Here's the beat report. The first week of training camp, somebody's keeping track. In terms of targets, Stephon Diggs does lead the Texans, but it's very close. Nico Collins is close second, and Tank Dell is not far behind, but third. So through the first week of training camp, it looks like it's Diggs, then Nico, then Tank.
Is there a way all 3 of these guys could be good for fantasy football?
Stroud would have to literally win MVP. He'd have to have like a 40 touchdown season.
Because he had on the season last year.
Which some people think. Some people believe that's so. I mean, like I said, dude, this is a hype team, a hype offense. Like people are saying that this is the best thing since sliced bread.
So my thing is like the way that I look at this receiving room, and the problem that I have with this receiving room is that there's a lot of really good receivers.
Yeah.
And if they only throw it 500 times, 550 times next year or this year, it's tough to see all 3 of them having success. It's tough.
They're gonna What did they throw it last year? How many times did they throw it last year?
499 in 15 games.
I guarantee you that number goes up. They are going to be slinging the ball.
So if he throws it 600 times, I could see these guys all getting opportunity because in PPR, all you really need is like just catches. So
right.
I mean, I don't mind taking a shot. If this offense is really good, I don't mind taking a shot on any one of these guys. I will say my shot is probably going to be taken with Nico Collins or Tank Dell.
I agree.
And not with Stephon Diggs because I think Stephon Diggs is old and there's a chance that he could kind of fall off.
But he's been falling in drafts. And it's like, what point do you get? And it's like Stephon Diggs.
I know. And if he's like a 5th round pick, you kind of have to like...
Especially like the report. See, I wouldn't be surprised if week 1, Diggs leads the team in targets. But by the end of the year, it's Tank and it's Nico.
I mean, but we've seen...
And Diggs is more of just a complimentary
We've seen this with Stephon Diggs, though, right? Where, like, he starts the season, like, at this elite pace. Like, last year, I mean, I thought I drafted the best receiver in the history of the league.
He's done it 2 years in a row now, where he's been like...
26, 13, 19, 36, 24, 20, 17, 16, 22... And then he had 6, 6, 19, 6, 8, 7,
he just
7,
fell off,
15. It was like...
Now, that partly was because of the offense. Like, the Bills ran the ball a lot more.
If you're supposed to be a top receiver, that shouldn't matter.
Right.
So I would take Nico and Tank because I think they're younger. They're better
I agree
at this
with you.
point in their career. But I am stunned.
I would say the one guy, like Nico, I think for sure is going to be the 1 or the 2. Like Nico, to me, although his ADP is also the highest, which kind of makes me nervous. So it's weird because like I don't necessarily love him at that ADP, but I feel like I'm the most confident in him being good still.
And poor Tank, man, he takes the L, I guess, out of this situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. Well, there's
your like if one of them goes down, the other 2 are gonna, skyrocket.
Hopefully, we cleared up that.
Not really.
Guess not.
It's tough. It is the toughest wide receiver room to me.
All right, we took 10 minutes on that team just because I needed to figure that one out.
We had to.
Indianapolis Colts here. Quarterback room, I would say most of the team stays generally the same. No real massive changes. So Anthony Richardson.
Except healthy.
Oh, they added Joe Flacco, Rick.
Whoa. Hey, that's a good backup.
That's like Anthony Richardson. He can go back out and throw 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions again. Richardson was very good to start last year.
He had 4 rushing touchdowns in 4 games.
He had 21, 17, 29 in the first 3 games. And I thought I had a quarterback that was going to win me my entire fantasy league here. And then he got hurt. Broke his shoulder. Yep. His collarbone. So, I mean, I guess what we thought Anthony Richardson would be is now coming to fruition this year. His ADP right now is 56, which is actually kind of on the lower side of what I would think it would be, but right now he's ranked 5. So,
he'd be 5, yeah.
People are all going to be all over Anthony Richardson.
Outside of the big 4 quarterbacks, he's the next guy.
And it's just all rushing.
It really is.
He might be one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, he's probably going to get like 10 rushing touchdowns.
I'd like 16.
He would be like top 3 fantasy quarterback if he did that. Maybe number 1.
Oh my God, I know. Well, I don't think he's going to throw more than
he probably would be QB1 if he had 16 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. But I don't see him throwing like more than like 3,500 yards and more than like 25 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, in 4 games, he had 3. Well, I guess the last game doesn't count. So 3 games, 3 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing. So yeah, I mean, he was on pace last year for like 17 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He probably will get a little more than that, but he's not throwing more than like 26, 27.
But I would say he's both on our top 5 at quarterback now.
Yeah, he's probably 5 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move to the running back position. Jonathan Taylor's here. And it's been a roller coaster because he was running back 1 in 2021. Yeah. And then he was running back 17 after only playing 11 games in 22. And then he only played 10 games in 23, and he was running back 12 in points per game. 17 in points per game in 2022, just to clarify.
Where was he last year in points per game?
Number 12.
Ew.
So he's good, but he's getting drafted at ADP of 15, which is very high.
I will say, looking at his stats last year, outside the first 2 games, or outside the first game, really, he was really good.
Oh, yeah.
He had 11, 21, 10, 17, 14, 21, 10, 17, 27.
I like him.
There's probably just some other guys.
I like him, but I don't know if I like him that much. In sleeper ADP, typing in the wrong position, he is 13.
Yeah, he's RB5. So, like, I would take Barkley over him. Would you agree?
Yeah, I see. And the rankings too have him that high as well. I don't know if I love that. Like, I like the running back, but there's a lot of uncertainty with Jonathan
Taylor's
Taylor.
like, I'm not gonna be mad if I end up with Jonathan Taylor, but I think I would take Barkley.
There's just so
over.
much
He's probably,
uncertainty
RB
to just be like, okay, number 1 running back on my team.
Would you take A-Chain or Kyron over him though?
Yeah, maybe. A-Chain, I don't know, because I think he's got the same amount of, like, he's got a lot of injury, like, risk.
Yeah.
Just like Jonathan Taylor does. So, like, I feel like that one's even to me. But Kyron Williams, I'd probably take him over.
You're not worried about the
No
5th round pick,
No,
Kyron Williams?
No, I'm not worried about that guy.
The new James Robinson. That's what somebody said on Twitter.
Oh, God, here we go. Blake Corum.
I mean, they took what? Where'd they take Corum? 3rd round?
I think so.
I would say Taylor. I mean, it is a little high, but I don't dislike him.
Yeah, it's not like I dislike Jonathan Taylor. It's just I don't think I'm going to end up in a position.
I think he's 1 or 2 spots too high.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about wide receiver. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell, who they just drafted this year. They still have that white guy, Alec Pierce.
Yeah. Alec Pierce, unfortunately, because I kind of liked him, but I think he's kind of dead.
Oh, yeah, Alec Pierce is dead. Like, he's going to be a good role-playing wide receiver, but he's not any good.
Yeah. I think those 3 are going to be the starting 3.
Josh Downs was a 3rd-round pick, kind of disappointed last year. Even with Anthony Richardson, he was kind of mid. He had some good games. Like, after Richardson got hurt, he had 15, 13, 23, 14 in the 4 consecutive weeks following. But then after that, it was just like he disappeared.
Kind of fell off a little bit.
So
he did. I mean, as a rookie, 98 targets is not bad.
No, not at all. So, I mean, he's there and he's going to play a role. Pittman's definitely the one, and I like Pittman. Last year he finished as a wide receiver 13. I think ADP of 34 is a perfect spot for him. I will probably be drafting him in a lot of leagues as well because he's a solid like wide receiver 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, and he was good with Richardson.
He was very good with Richardson. But Adonai Mitchell here, he is drafted pick 2nd round, pick 20. He fell this far because of character concerns. So obviously there's that
talent
to be trifled with, but he ran a 4.34 with a quarterback that can throw it 100 yards. So
Colts are good, man.
It should be.
This division is good.
Yeah. I love the receivers. Can I get you some of these boys? In the AFC East.
Outside of Pittman, though, are you in on any of those other guys?
I think I'm in on Pittman. I'm not really in on Josh Downs. I might be in on Adonai Mitchell at some point in this season because I was already in on him to start.
Yeah.
You know me with 6'2", 205-pound receivers that run 4.340s.
Right.
I'm all in.
I kind of feel the same way. I do like Josh Downs.
This profile is crazy, by the way. We got to move on. I want to hear what your comment is, but I just wanted to bring this up. 97th percentile 40-yard dash, 98th percentile speed score, 96th percentile burst score, 92nd percentile catch radius.
I wanted the Pats to draft him.
Bro, that guy looks crazy. He might. I don't know.
Very in on him.
All right, so might take a flyer on Adonai Mitchell.
He's just like he's the wide receiver 3 or 4 to start the season on the team. On a team that doesn't throw the ball that much.
I think he can usurp Josh Downs pretty easily.
Yeah, but they don't play this like Josh Downs is their slot guy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mitchell plays on the outside.
So if he's on the field, he's on the field.
Okay. Well, I don't mind Pittman. Obviously, he's good.
Yep.
I don't mind Josh Downs, but I don't love it either because it's Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitchell, like you said, I think could break out at some point in the year, but I think to start the year it's going to be real bad, real slow. The Colts, the problem is they have great receivers, but how much do they throw the ball?
That's true. Yep.
So
I mean, I think Pittman's the best guy, but I think if you had to pick a second guy by the end of the season, it's probably Adonai Mitchell. And if Mitchell is a ridiculous talent, he might even be able to usurp Pittman, but I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I just, if he's got so much raw potential that there could be something.
Honestly, maybe not this year, but I could see that being the case in like a year or two.
Okay. Do you like anyone at tight end?
No.
Me neither. Not even going to reference them, so suck an egg. All right, let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made a quarterback addition this offseason, Mac Jones. How far down do you think you have to... I don't know how Mac Jones feels right now. But if I was drafted 14, 15 spots before the guy that I'm now backing up 3 years after I got drafted in the first round, I'd feel pretty
I don't think he minds it, though. He likes living in Jacksonville a lot more than New England.
I think he just likes it. In Jacksonville, they're probably like, oh, look, we have a football team.
Yeah, pretty much.
New England, it's like Mac Jones is the worst quarterback in the history of the league. Look at Drake May. Poor Drake May. He turns on the news tonight. They're disappointed in Drake May after 2 practices.
Yeah, seriously.
We're the worst. We're the worst up here. But anyway, Trevor Lawrence going to be the starting quarterback. You know what I did hear that I thought was ridiculous, because I would say Trevor Lawrence has started his career pretty
up and down.
Pretty up and down. He hasn't really been the guy that you thought he was going to be when he was drafted.
Yeah.
And there were when they traded for Mac Jones, there was some rumors floating around like, oh, maybe he's a quarterback competition. No, it's not. That's not a quarterback. It's absolutely not. Mac Jones looks fatter than he ever has. Trevor Lawrence is elite. So,
no, Lawrence is the guy. I mean, This is a big year for him, though.
This is a big year. If he doesn't figure
didn't they just give him he's like a top 5 paid quarterback in the league.
Did they give him
him like $48 million.
Bro, so many people got paid at quarterback. I don't even know. But
yeah, he got a big time deal.
In the fantasy points per game totals, nothing really changed from 22 to 23 for him. He was a quarterback 12 in 2022 and 2023 points per game wise. He was the quarterback 13. So, like I said, nothing really massively changing for Trevor Lawrence, but I think the ceiling is kind of now changed for him as far as expectations are concerned.
Which is why I kind of like him.
He's quarterback 16 right now, and he doesn't provide much rushing upside.
He had 400 rushing yards last year and 5 rushing touchdowns.
Dang, bro.
4 rushing touchdowns. He had 339.
Okay, maybe he does have rushing. So that's
upside.
Not. Maybe there's something.
He rushes more than Dak. His problem last year: 21 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And 14 interceptions. It was bad. But if he can clean it up, I don't know. I like Trevor Lawrence. I was in on Trevor Lawrence last year, and that was big time disappointing. So, but at his ADP, I do like him.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The ADP of 119 could mean something good, but you're right. This is a big year for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
big year for Trevor Lawrence. All right, running back position, Travis Etienne. He was the running back 3 last year. He's getting drafted as pick 43. To be honest with you, love Travis Etienne. I've always loved Trevor. At pick 40,
at that spot.
At pick 43 at that spot after putting up an RB.
He's been in my best ball leagues. He's been a smash for me at that spot.
Yeah. I was trying to see
RB11
way back when in the off season when it first started before we stopped recording. We did the PPR draft
too early
of the first round, the too early draft, and I was trying to see if we put Travis Etienne.
I think he was probably a late first rounder.
We did not.
Oh, okay.
The running backs drafted
he would have been close.
McCaffrey, Bijan, Brees, and Kyron.
I mean, that's kind of what it is minus Kyron.
But I love Travis Etienne at pick 43, so smash that pick.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he did play a full 17 last year, so I don't know what, with everybody healthy, all things considered, he's probably not going to be an RB3. But at RB11, I'll take that all
11
day.
and 12. Still a running back 1 at pick 42. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Let's go to the wide receiver position. Christian Kirk is here. They signed Gabe Davis. They draft Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know what Brian Thomas Jr. is going to look like. Right now, his ADP is 75, so like I'm willing to take a little bit of a flyer risk on Brian Thomas Jr.
Would you draft him over Keon Coleman?
Yeah, I would, because I think he's faster and he's better.
Fair.
He's got a similar profile to
I do like Brian Thomas Jr.
to Adonai Mitchell.
Right. He is starting the season going to be a wide receiver 3.
Okay. Well, it's all right.
I do think, and you
blows.
probably agree, he's going to take over Gabe Davis at some point.
I actually think he'll take over Christian Kirk. I think Kirk's mid.
Kirk Kirk is a slot receiver, so like it's not like Kirk's going to have his role no matter what.
Oh, you mean like? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
No, Brian, if they run 2 receiver
Christian
sets,
Kirk's an outside speed guy.
he was in Arizona, and then in Jacksonville they moved into the slot.
Interesting.
And he's actually better in the slot, to be honest.
I kind of think the role that Brian Thomas Jr. plays,
he's an X.
Yeah, he's an X. He'll probably start and play on the outside. One would hope.
Yeah. I think Gabe Davis is more of replacing Zay Jones, who did have a role in the offense because they run 3 receiver sets. I don't love Christian Kirk, but
He's
as wide receiver like 30 something, it's not that bad.
Bro, he's getting drafted as a wide. He's getting drafted at ADP of 45 on Underdog.
Yeah, that is really gross.
No thanks on Christian
Wide
Kirk.
receiver 30.
I would say sleeper, but like
he has been really good though. Ever since he's come to Jacksonville.
Yeah. No, he's posted good numbers. I don't really know what they want to do with Gabe, to be honest with you. He's picked 132, so he's not that bad. But I would say, just for sheer upside purposes, I would take a shot on Brian Thomas Jr. if he's available.
Yeah, I do think he might start slow though. But again, one of those guys, those rookie receivers, those second half breakout guys that we've seen every single year now, to be honest.
Yeah. He's
one of those guys that might start slow, but like week 8, week 9, week 10, he all of a sudden breaks out and finishes the year really, really strong.
Yep. All right. Anything else on the wide receivers?
No.
Tight end Evan Engram was a tight end 2 last year in fantasy football. He's going off the board at pick 76. He is a year older, but Evan Engram finally becoming really, really
was
good.
Really tight end 2 last year?
Yeah. And this year
Wow.
he was okay, these are from 2017, from the beginning of his career on, just in fantasy points per game. These are his finishes. 4, 7, 7, 18, 23, last year 7 and 4. So he was with the Giants, right?
Yeah.
So he fell off in 2020 and 2021, but then picked it back up in 22 and 23.
Yeah, well.
So he's good.
I was kind of down on Evan Engram, but now I might be in a little bit.
And especially,
there's still a lot of mouths to feed there.
Especially looking at the receiving room and how there is a lot of question marks, I think the one steady guy would probably be Evan Engram.
The Jaguars' offense is it's so interesting because they were disappointed people so much last year.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of talent on that team, and they're a team that could fly under the radar. Basically do the opposite. Because they disappointed last year, they could fly under the radar this year and be really, really good.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
But if they disappoint again this year, it's they're out.
Yeah.
You're done.
I think it is interesting. Trevor Lawrence went to LSU, right?
Clemson.
Sorry, I always get the two mixed up. Never mind.
He played against Joe Burrow at LSU.
That's
championship.
True. But anyway, okay. Let's move to the Titans.
Last
team in the league that we're going to talk. We talked about almost every single fantasy relevant player here for the last 3 weeks.
The Titans got a lot of old guys.
I was going to say Titans also on the list for low-key bad team.
They're another, but yeah, it's so weird because I think they could be bad, but they also have surprisingly a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't know.
We'll see.
They might have a good offense. They might be bad, but they might have a good offense.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks to start. Will Levis.
Yeah. Make or break year for Will Levis.
I will say, in my mind, I'm not touching Will Levis for fantasy football with a 12-foot pole. If he starts to come on, there could be something there, and I'd pick him up off the waiver wire, or he becomes a streaming option. But draft-wise, there's nothing there for me for him. But in terms of the team overall, like you said, it is a make or break season for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get the same luxury as some other guys because he was wasn't he the first overall pick in the second round, but he was still a second round pick, or like the second overall pick in the second round?
Second round pick too.
Either way, he was a second round pick, so like he's not gonna get 3 years. So if he doesn't do well this year, they probably move on, but we'll see. They surrounded him.
Yeah, they got guys. I was gonna say, like Rick just said, they got guys, but they're all corpses. And we'll start with the running back room. They got rid of one corpse.
Yeah.
And replaced them with another. Pollard, 27 years old. He did start late in his career as a full-blown, full workload guy. It wasn't until 2022, 2023 that he got that full workload that you would see from a workhorse running back. So he comes in. I would imagine that they try to pound the rock with Tony Pollard and bury him into the ground in terms of usage. So I expect him to get a lot of usage. I don't expect it to be efficient usage. So whatever he was last year, which was RB14, I could probably see him in the low-end RB2 range. So he could be a decent flex option. I do like, just personally, Tajay Spears as a sleeper, just because he had moments last year where he showed he's
probably
really
at this point more explosive than Pollard.
Yes. So I could see if Pollard comes on this football team and ends up sucking, Spears has an opportunity to really come forward and play because Henry's not here. So this is I kind of wanted to, after all that, who would you rather have? Because this has been a big debate, an off-season debate, because they're ranked very close to each other. Oh, they are. Just saw that.
Yeah, Pollard is ranked higher, but Tajay Spears I think is only a round lower and 4 or 5 running backs lower.
I'd probably take Tajay Spears because of the upside. I think there's a chance that by week 5 or 6 that he's taken over the job.
That's fair. I don't disagree with you. For me, I've been very torn on it because I do think Pollard, they gave him a big contract and he's probably going to get the work to start, and then Spears, I think it's going to be probably a split, which is just gross, like a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
But I do think Pollard probably gets a little more carries, but maybe Spears is a little bit more efficient. So it's I don't really know. It's kind of hard either way.
Yeah, it's back and forth. But, I mean, it's not a make or break decision. Because my thing is
they're both going kind of late.
If they're in round 9 or 10, my thing is they're gonna sit. So if you're going to sit, are you going to take a upside play or are you going to take a floor play?
Probably the upside.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I would take the upside play.
That's fair.
All right, let's talk about wide receivers. Like Rick said, old. Treylon Burks just completely lost everything because he sucks.
He's done.
He's done. He's toast. They signed Tyler Boyd, 29 years old. They signed Calvin Ridley, 29 years old. They have DeAndre Hopkins still, 32 years old. Lots of receivers, lots of old age. Boyd's going to not be great. Fantasy football-wise, I'd stay away from Boyd. He's always going to be the third guy. Hopkins is their wide receiver one. You would consider him the wide receiver one right now, but he is really old, and we saw what he was last year with Tennessee, with Will Levis at times. He ended as the wide receiver 22, but he's a year older, so I think that can only get worse, which leaves Calvin Ridley here as the only real viable fantasy option for me at the wide receiver position. Last year's wide receiver 18, his ADP is 59. Rick loves Calvin Ridley more than I like him.
I do, but I don't know if I think about the Titans.
That's fair. Because we had discussions about him possibly being on the Pats and, all of that stuff, and they tried to sign him, and he went to a different team. He is old. He's up there. He's 1, if not 2 seasons away from kind of falling apart, like every old receiver does. And
I will say, like with Ridley, and this was
changes,
my argument for him. He missed a full season because of a suspension, so like I think he has fresher legs than what his age is.
Yeah.
So like I think he still has a decent amount of football left.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think it's like this year he could be fine.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot here, and if Levis sucks...
Dude, imagine this wide receiver one like 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, well, you'd be cooking. I mean, this would be amazing. It's just old. It's very old.
Yeah,
it's very Titans of them.
I mean, they're clearly trying to give Will Levis a shot, though.
The best they can. And then Chig.
I'm out on Chig.
Love Chig. Love Chig as
if you had to pick one receiver, though, is it Ridley?
Yeah, it's definitely Ridley. I think Boyd sucks, and
I probably agree with you.
Hopkins physically is a corpse at this point.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But Chig is the only tight end they have here. He had 77 targets last year. That's a lot of targets.
It is, but I mean, with Ridley and Hopkins and even Tyler Boyd, and he's going to be like their third or fourth or maybe even fifth option on a bad offense. I'm good.
Conk will always be there in my soul.
Okay. Well, you can draft him.
I'm not going to draft him, no. Well, I mean, I could draft. Hey, 16th round pick just for kicks and giggles, man. I'm saving my 16th round pick for the quarterback that we all know everyone's going after in our draft.
Right.
Name shall not be mentioned. Okay.
Or a Patriots fan, so you could do the math in your head.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
I went to the pro shop. No Jacoby Brissett jerseys. Lots of Drake May jerseys.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah. Wonder why. All right. Any other thoughts on the Tennessee Titans?
No.
Any other thoughts?
I think that's it.
Any other thoughts for the show?
Man, it's good to get through all these teams. Do you feel like you're more prepared?
I'm more informed. I'm ready to shred through the next month of fantasy football prep.
Yeah.
Ready to go. But anyway, AFC and NFC North South breakdown. See you later, guys.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.